do take education loan. When you're going abroad, seek help. There are people to help.
A youngster who is aspiring to go abroad, well, then this podcast episode is for you.
When it comes to scholarship, we all have the myth that I will not get it. So it's not expensive for your child to study abroad. Canada is not in the best of shape, but it's a beautiful country.
Sending tens of thousands of children abroad, taking care of their living and helping them fulfill their dreams. I have with me today Saurabh Arora, head and founder of University Living.
I recommend everyone to choose University of Living.
Thank you, Team University Living.
We have a very large viewership, but in conjunction to that viewership, the subscription on the podcast, well, there's some work to be done as well. In fact, 98% of our viewers are not subscribers to our channel. So if I can make a request to each and every one of you, if you find value in what we deliver, if you like the content that we bring on the podcast on Let's Chat with GB, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button and do share here as well. It will go a very, very long way in bringing a lot more guests, a lot more value content, and a lot more value to each and every one of you. Looking forward to having you as our subscribers. Thank you. Welcome to yet another episode of Let's Chat with GB. Today is going to be, well, not only a masterclass, but it's going to be a deep dive into all things when it comes to global education, studying abroad, living abroad. If you have ever wondered what it would be like to study abroad, if you have children, okay, that you're thinking of sending abroad as well, today is going to be that deep dive, the only podcast that you ever need to listen to demystify everything when it comes to overseas education and more. I have with me an expert, someone who has been in the space for 15 years. Saurabh Arora, someone who has been leading University Living, one of the pioneers in the country when it comes to exactly this topic. Saurabh, welcome, and it's great to have you on Let's Chat with GB.
Thank you. Because you put it on lots of spot. I don't know I'm an expert, but happy to share my journey. Happy to share whatever experience and learnings we have gathered over a period of time.
I'm sure. And you're someone who's walked the talk. You've been down this path itself. And of course, I've been hearing such amazing things, about you, the work that you've been doing, and of course, what University Living as an organization's been doing. And I'm sure the insights you're going to share today will be amazing for our audience as well.
Happy to share whatever little I know.
Yeah. Love it. So let's go back, and we're going to go back to, you were a boy who was born and brought up in Meerut, studied at St. Mary's perhaps, and made his way down to Delhi, to do his MBA. And from Delhi then had a big jump when you went all the way across to Nottingham. And we're talking about way back now, 2010 possibly.
10, 11 years.
Right? So walk me through that. What was it like from Meerut to Delhi, and then of course Delhi to making that trip abroad, to the UK for the first time?
Oh, that's like going back to memory lane, and thank you for asking. And in fact, I went to Meerut, so very blessed, that Meerut is nearby. So my parents are still there, my elder brother is still there.
Right.
So Meerut is my roots, and super proud of Meerut. I guess there's something about Meerut. There's lots of entrepreneurship spirit, 100%. being the sports city of India.
Yeah.
So that's how I did my schooling from St. Mary's.
Right.
Again, best time of my life, schooling, and that too in ICSE school with big grounds and all the sports facility, and that's why probably I'm too much into sports and outdoor.
Got it.
And from there I moved to Delhi. I wanted to go to Pune, but my parents your elder brother went to UK. Your elder brother went to Delhi. So if you want to go to Delhi, great. Otherwise, sit in our family business. I'm like, okay, let me go to Delhi. So I did my undergrad university from Delhi University, did my economics honors. So that's how I did my undergrad, and form a pseudo learning on stock market.
Right.
Because while I was studying, I was like, now my parents have sent me outside Delhi,
sure.
outside India. So we need to do something on my own, not on entrepreneur state or something, but at least a job. Because I come from a background wherein in my distant relatives, no one have worked in a corporate.
Sure.
So typical SME industry background.
Right.
So I'm like, now I'm here staying alone, staying with friends, spending lots of money. So let me find a job. So I'm like, what skills I have? I'm like, then I stumble upon stock market. There used to be NSC certifications. So I did couple of them. Got a job in India Bulls.
Okay.
That's how I started my career into risk management.
Right.
I learned all the jargons, and how one can grow in a corporate without doing actual work. So that I got exposure towards that. But then I realized that something is missing. Probably in Delhi University during my time,
Right.
couldn't get lots of exposure towards building my skills.
Sure.
So I thought probably doing MBA is the right thing.
Right.
And there was some peer group pressure also that other of my undergrad friends, went ahead and did their masters and got a more high paying jobs. So I'm like, okay, to earn your salaries, you need to do a master's. But one thing I at least that point I was pretty aware that probably I'm not cut for IIMs and IITs. So couldn't took a gap and prepare for that career launchers and IMS.
Yeah.
I guess that was very good. One of the good things I did for myself that didn't waste another year. Got my master for infinity business from Gurgaon, and when I was doing that, I got an opportunity to go to Nottingham as an exchange program.
Interesting.
So I don't know if I'm qualified to be called as an international student, but definitely I went to Nottingham from exchange program, and I went in January.
Got it.
And that's where from Meerut to Delhi to Nottingham, and got into this space called higher education industry.
So interesting. And to go across to the UK in January, and January is cold and it's dark, and it probably gets dark by like 2:30 p.m. almost, right? I mean, it's 4-ish.
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
so
4-ish, yeah.
I think if you're further up north, then even earlier. What was it like for the Meerut boy to go across, to Nottingham for the first time? What was that for you, like, living that moment? How was that for you at that time?
So I lived the movie in the morning. I work, I'm also a newbie podcaster. So there's a guest from UK. So I was telling this story to her. But you asked me again, the goosebumps came in. So first time international flight alone.
Yeah.
Never thought that. See, I won't say I come from a poor family,
Sure.
but I come from a humble family, like middle class. Wherein going abroad is still a dream.
Yeah.
Spending 82 rupees to a rupee to a pound is still expensive.
Correct.
Buying that £2, that time I guess that time it was £1.5 per bottle. That was still expensive. The calculations start happening.
Of course.
Right? But yes, it changes my horizon. I guess one of the best thing or the best risks I've taken. And all support to my family who let me do it. But landing to London, going London to Nottingham, it seems like when I reached Nottingham, I'm like, wow, I've achieved something. I've won the war of reaching Nottingham alone.
Right.
So that was one confident booster.
Right.
But very naive of me, that I didn't book my accommodation. And that's where you mentioned January.
Yeah.
So no one asked me, I didn't told, or no one told me that if you're going, get your accommodation done before.
Right.
And it was January intake, so all the accommodation was taken.
Yeah.
And I reached, I'm like, where do I sleep? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm in university. You tell me where do I sleep?
Right.
So they're like, okay, if you're not booking your accommodation, we can still try to get you 2 nights. But there were no duvet, there were no pillow. January cold.
Crazy.
And I was still 20, 21.
Yeah.
At least in those 2 nights, probably I've thought 1,000 times that why I'm here and will I be alive? I'm not trying to be melodramatic because it was cold, right?
Yeah.
But that's where I realized that, okay, coming to Meerut to Delhi was a very empowering journey.
Yeah.
But if I need to sustain in UK,
Sure.
I need to be even more independent. I need to be more proactive.
Yeah.
And then I used to be timid. Now I can. No one will tell that I used to be shy and timid.
Right.
But I used to be shy and timid. I used to be introvert, and add to it, though I studied in ICSE school, my English was not up to the mark. So there are lots of apprehensions, lots of self-doubts, But that trip to UK, and that navigating 6 months or 3 to 6 months in Nottingham was a life changer.
Of course. I can only imagine. And I can see where, university living would actually start because you face these challenges yourself.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of personal experiences, really come into play as well. So when you got there, and you mentioned language was, a bit of a barrier, of course, and of course, the way English is spoken there is quite different.
And that with too heavy accent,
Great.
एक तो समझ नहीं आ रही थी, ऊपर से too much of heavy accent. I'm like, what are you talking?
Correct.
But yeah.
Yeah. So accommodation piece, obviously, like you get there, you're told there's only 2 days accommodation, and then you figure out, your piece. You don't even have, as you mentioned, a duvet or a blanket. So very, very tumultuous. What are some of the other, things that struck you culturally where you're like, okay, this is a lot to take in? And the reason why I ask this is because there's probably a very large percentage, maybe 50-60% of people who are going, even today, even despite there being YouTube and despite there being resources, a lot of them go in fairly unprepared.
Yeah.
Right? So what were some of the cultural things that hit you right away and you said, okay, I wish I had prepared myself better for this?
So, a few of my learnings, and till date, I mean, I've been traveling across every 2 months. I'm in UK or US or Australia, but
Sure.
still, when I land there, there is some kind of switch we need to do. Wherein I always say India is comfort, international it's convenient. Here there is, you will have lots of people who will support and help without even asking.
Right.
There are people who's happy to help, but you need to seek.
Of course.
They don't expect that if you fall, there will be people who come and help you. But if you ask, there will be people to help you. So that asking,
Right.
is something which get prepared. That don't expect that people will come to you and you're entitled to help. You need to seek help, and it's okay to ask help. Right. Then everything is each per person,
Yeah.
per each. Even if you're going somewhere, even if it's a pool in,
Right.
no one will ask for money. You need to Dutch in yourself. So everything is each.
Right.
Right.
Everyone goes Dutch and it's
Yes, and it's normal. It's natural.
Yeah.
It's in fact it's considered rude if you don't Dutch in and on your own.
Right.
Most likely, no one will gonna ask that. Oh, what is your share?
Sure.
At least that what happened with me, and it's like, oh, no one is asking. It's free lunches. I went once, second time, like, and third time I invite everyone. I paid for everyone. Like,
Right.
it doesn't work this way, right? Then the Western society is very individualist society.
Sure.
Right? So don't try to, no one likes to be too close in their space. Everyone needs their space, Here in India or in Asia, we are like, if someone is sitting with you, like, okay, I'll keep sitting till the time, he or she needs you around.
Right.
But out there, they're very clear about their time.
Got it.
And anyone who come very close to their space, generally they don't like it.
Right.
So
Do you
these are
think that's
few-
a UK thing or it's also like that in the US as well?
For sure, US. UK still there's lots of Indianness. US is very dry. Australia is again, they are probably more Indianness.
Right.
But these few things are still remain individualistic, each. So I would say it's more US thing than even UK, because UK now have become very used to Indianness. They're more Indianness.
Right.
Than in US.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting.
What's your take on this?
No, I kind of agree, and I think it also depends on which part of the US. So I think a lot of New York is colder.
If you go to
California
Texas,
can be a little warmer. Texas,
wherever you're
little
Indian,
India. Correct.
Yeah,
correct,
yeah. Where
and
you
I
have
was-
Asians community, then
Right.
yeah.
And I was in Dallas, just last week, and I was also in the southern part, and I went to Memphis, Tennessee. Much warmer, right? Much warmer, very hospitable. They'll pick you up, take you out, and all of that. But again, it's very
It varies,
very
yeah,
regional.
yeah.
I think the UK is colder, and I think there are also some. To some degree, they're when we say a little matlabi, so it's about what's in it for them.
Yeah.
I think that's a big aspect, as well over there. So again, going back to that time, and you obviously had your challenges. What were some of your top learnings from that stint that you said, okay, that this is something that these have been my key takeaways, and this is what I want to go back and perhaps educate the people back home about as well. So what were some of your top learnings from the early challenges?
So now I'm kind of a person who generally don't think too much. I go with the flow, it's spontaneous. I'm a product of my experiences, my privilege,
Sure.
my challenges. But as you are probably forcing me to think that ways, I would say there are 3 learnings I would like to add here. One, if you're going abroad, be more proactive. In India, just in time or ho jayega, dekh lege, chalta attitude generally will not work, and or if it works, it will be more expensive or more taxing.
Yeah.
So be more proactive and more prepared.
Right.
Same thing that be around to help people, but don't be too intimating that he's my
Too
neighbor.
eager to help.
Too eager to
Right,
help.
right,
We Indians and we Asians are,
Right.
that's a DNA.
Second.
Right? So even if you have the right intent,
Yeah.
but if you try to be too much into it, probably you will be
perceived
considered.
incorrectly.
Yes.
Right, right.
Coming from my biggest experience, like please, when you're going abroad, as a traveler, as a student, as a immigrant, get your housing sorted as soon as possible.
Right.
Because I always say that's the second point. The moment you land,
Right.
if you know where you're staying,
Yeah.
there's a certainty.
Yeah.
If you land and you say, oh, we figure out, there's lots of switch off cost, there's lots of uncertainty.
Of course.
And there is also, when you don't know where is your destination, the journey can be anyways. It can be very learning and can be beautiful.
Right.
But mostly it's end up being very taxing.
Of course, very unpleasant. I love that. So you said India ke andar jugaadbazi zyada hai. So we think that we can wing it. I think as you mentioned, when you're going abroad, you have to go in with a plan. I think that's
Yeah.
very, very important. And I think it's also very important where you mentioned that be mindful of people's space and the kind of bubble that they've built around them. Because if you try and get too close, it'll be perceived as someone who's trying to be
intrude their
too
privacy.
pushy
Yeah.
and makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
About that. And of course, like you mentioned, figure out the housing piece. So now you're back, fast forward a few years, later. Where did university living and the thought of university living really come in from? Because obviously you've had this stint abroad, you faced some challenges, there were some learnings, the market was ripe for something like this. So walk us through, how university living really began.
So I consider myself fortunate and blessed, and also chosen. Because I was introspecting why we been part of this and doing well and doing it very passionately.
Right.
And then I was trying to connect the dots.
Sure.
So when I moved from Meerut to Delhi, so first I stayed in Hoskas. Second I stayed in Ansals, DDA Flats, right opposite Ansals, around South X. Then I moved to GKS block. Then I started my corporate career or like my first job.
Right.
I moved to Gurgaon.
Of course.
Then I moved to Infosys, Sector 14. So I have changed places every year.
Right.
So I've known the pain of moving every year. Firstly, looking out for brokers or looking out for friends and us, And then when I moved to Nottingham, it was altogether a different ball game. So I believe there was we were chosen one, right? And I always say we are a category creator because we started in 2011, which is 15 years back.
Right.
So there was a company I started with my cousin called Unilogist back in 2011. And that's how my journey into higher education, my journey to global mobility starts. It started wherein, I guess my cousin was running a consulting business.
Right.
And I went through this problem. And in fact, I would, on camera, I have no comms. This ideas was his. He conceived, I delivered. This is what I say, right? So from 2011 to 2015, we built up Unilogist.
Right.
And unfortunately, they were conflict of interest and I had to move out or I was kicked out. So I started again 2015. I started University Living as theuniversityliving.com, and that's where I started a one-man show. But while all this, got lots of opportunities to interact with lots of students, not only Indian students, international students, interacted with lots of parents, did few hacks and campaigns and, build this category in India. And when I launched University Living, so I started alone, got married, had no money, right? Because I was kicked out and my money was giving purposely very late, So one man show, lots of gratitude to my wife, my friends and family who probably have not helped me with money, but that support that we are there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, don't worry, we are there. So then I started, and then after 6-7 months, that's where my current co-founder Mayank, and who used to be my roommate, when I was in Gautam Nagar, from 2007 to 2012.
Okay.
So when I went to Nottingham, so he was working here. When he came back, I was doing my masters, and he went to Northampton. So there are lots of incidents happen.
Right.
Now it seems natural that hum nahi karega to kaun karega, right? Because we gone through the problem. We have seen how tough it is to find accommodation and then settle it out, and that nuances, right? And then we also got the opportunity internationally.
Sure.
So this is how probably we got into this. It was I'm also a guy who go with the flow. I have lots of ideas, lots of strategies, but I'm like, okay, keep working hard, keep working the right thing, and just navigating the journey. So probably that's how University Living happened. and super grateful to everyone, right from my wife to my parents to my brother to even my cousin who pushed me out of my comfort zone to start again.
Yeah. Sometimes I think those adversities come in our lives for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I think when that degree of desperation is there, I think it pushes us,
Yeah.
to another level. I mean, I've been down that path as well, so can totally relate as well. And just to give us context, so you started, alone from home. You were the sole person. Motamoti today, how many people do you have on your team at this point of time?
So we are, we are a humble team of 400 people all across the globe.
400 people.
Yeah,
Love that.
yeah. Out of which around 320, 330 is in India. Around 75 to 70, 80 people are in, in UK, in Southeast Asia, China,
Right.
Turkey, Australia.
Fantastic.
Looking to hire in US. So yeah, more or less.
Wow,
More or less,
lovely,
yeah.
amazing, great journey. And like I said, which is why I'm going to pick your brain on some key points today as well, because a lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners, they have children who are either maybe between the age of 5 to 18 who are looking to head there, or maybe sometimes even students who are considering this or have considered this at some point, and they have some, well, let's just say unanswered questions, which I'm hoping that we can also touch on upon today. So just jumping into that, let's talk about 2025. A lot is happening in the world. Donald Trump is now here. There's a lot of geopolitical things happening. A lot of an anti-immigrant push that's happening. AI is playing the biggest role as than ever before. I mean, just yesterday we heard about how the Chinese have
1
come
trillion.
right? They've upset the apple cart, and just before we start today, I heard that Alibaba's come out with something which is even a notch,
Okay.
cheaper. So there's a lot
Okay.
happening. So let's touch upon cost. Let's touch upon geopolitics. Let's touch upon the role of AI and all of that as well. So first up, okay, 2025, an Indian looking to go abroad. Okay, what would be your top picks, for someone looking to go abroad right now?
Destination wise?
Destination wise, maybe even courses to pick, but what would be, some of the top picks from your perspective?
Okay, very interesting. So, just a disclaimer. I'm not a certified education counselor.
Fair.
But by virtue of talking to Place to the Minds and talking to parents, students, universities, definitely I can try to stick my neck and share my opinion.
Brilliant.
Right. So I would say, all the destination, whether it's been the traditional Anglophones, US, Australia, Canada, UK,
Right.
they still hold relevancy.
Right.
All the emerging destinations like Germany, Spain, Portugal, France, even Dubai, Singapore,
Right.
they are coming up the ranks, right? So rather than what I'm saying or what are you reading, more than that, if I will be in their space, I would say I will introspect. Why I want to go abroad.
Right.
Are we going for undergrad or postgrad?
Right.
Am I taking student loan or finances, or my family is sponsoring it? So these are few. In fact, we have a cost of living calculator on universityliving.com. So someone can download it and probably play around.
Got it.
Similarly, we have built up a model wherein we have around 32 parameters.
Okay.
And it's like Excel, but it's more of like it's a gamification
Got it.
model wherein one need to decide that, okay, am I looking to go and stay there, settle down,
Yeah.
or I want to go get my education, come back and join my parents' business,
Right.
or I'm going to do a degree which may help me understand or get a job which otherwise I might not get. So that clarification is very important. That end goal is important.
Got it.
And then figure out your journey. Do I like sun, or I'm more of a
person.
cold guy,
Right.
cold weather
Right.
person. So basis that you can decide a country. Am I looking for STEMs and ITs,
Yeah.
or I'm looking for more humanities and art? You can pick your country.
Right.
And basis that you can also pick your universities and courses.
Got it.
Right. Then it's always, in fact, this is a borrowed wisdom I would like to share here, wherein we are at 2025. So imagine we will get in a job market in 28 or 30.
Right.
So you need to think that way, that after 3 years,
Sure.
what will be relevant?
Yeah.
Will the cyber security be relevant, or AI prompt engineering is relevant,
Right.
or probably spaceship, something is to do with space is very
right,
good.
right.
So if you know the trends after 3-5 years,
Yeah.
and you can read and you can discuss,
Yeah.
talk to current students who are there,
Right.
and then do a backward calculation or a backward journey, planning. That will help you decide probably a course, and then that course you can figure out which university is best for that course, the faculty is best for a course. Then you can decide a university,
Right.
and basic that you can decide a destination, or you can do a top down from destination to a university.
Got it.
So I wish I would have discussed and heard and read these things during my time,
course.
but at least for our audience,
Yeah.
or our parents, there are so many information and right things available.
Got it.
But one thing to do is to research. Don't I mean, there's a vested interest that I work with all the education partners,
Right.
and there are two thought around that, like all agents are frauds, or there is like agents are saviors. I say it's all depend upon how much are you research. If you are planned and then go to every counselor, it
Right.
will help them give you. They are like a doctors,
Correct.
right? They will ask you the symptoms.
Correct.
Otherwise, they will do all kind of tests.
Of course.
So it depends upon how much are you prepared or clear about
Right.
it.
And I think it's very, correct on your part that you said, know what your end goal is. Are you someone who's looking to, go there and stay there hoping to get a job? Or are you just going there, to get some kind of education, exposure, the networking, build your network, come back, bring back that, that exposure, that experience and imply that, in your working over here. I think that's very important. You also mentioned about, geographically, we spoke about, even various parts of the States. I mean, some parts can be like frigid cold. And if you aren't someone who can tolerate the cold, I mean, it's going to be miserable, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for sunshine, I mean, obviously you want to be, towards, the southern, parts of the States, or,
Yeah.
even across now, of course, Singapore and
Pacific,
Dubai is
yeah.
coming
Australia,
up as well.
Dubai,
Australia,
yeah.
of course, as well.
Yeah.
So I think those are very important aspects. And we will kind of, let's say jump into a particular situation. And now give me, an example of, we'll talk about commercial costs. So let's say we have someone who is looking to, pursue their undergraduate, education, looking at either the US or the UK, and is looking to go across, well, let's just say open mind in the sense that, okay, agar, visa mil jaye to reh jayenge, nahi mila to wapas aa jayenge. If it works, otherwise I'll come back kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is the kind of cost investment towards tuition fee for a mid-ish level, liberal arts college of sorts, that one is going to make and, join in one of these countries? What kind of investment are our parents, looking at making for their children?
That's a loaded question, but I will try to bifurcate and decipher.
Sure.
So, when we are planning for our finances, so they are, or probably when you're planning to go abroad, there are 18 touch points which our student parents need to go through.
Got it.
First, they need to, decide on country,
Yep.
then university,
Yep.
then courses,
Yep.
then skills, then the test assessments, accommodation, bank accounts, the source of finances.
Right.
It starts with source of finances,
Right.
Or even if I go further, especially with the kids which are so super privileged and their parents are so supportive. So even when a students at grade 8,
Right.
there are assessments, psychometric tests, career plannings.
Sure.
Then there's a university selection process.
Right.
So depend upon which stage of that journey they are. If
Right,
they are
right.
probably they are in their 11th standard, probably they have probably 2, and they are looking to go for undergrad. They have probably 18 months to plan.
Sure.
If they're in their grade 8,
Sure.
they have a super advantage of building on their profile.
Got it.
And then probably aim for a bigger university, better universities, and also give it a shot for scholarships.
Yep.
But definitely someone who's going abroad should plan 18 months before.
Got it.
I call it's like planning a baby journey. At 9 months, minimum 9 months before, and post 9 months is what define the more success stories for someone who's going abroad. Now coming on the the commercial aspect, right?
yeah.
So before that, if you allow me to take a step back,
Fair.
so there's a myth, and it's fact also. Like likely they are people who are thinking they are not wrong.
Right.
That studying abroad is expensive. This is what even I used to think.
Fair.
Because my cousin who went for undergrad, of course he was more rich, right? And that point I was very clear that probably undergrad ke liye nahi aa paunga. It's very expensive, right? Especially in London, right? So, but if someone will ask me, so I have a 4.5-year daughter who we call it Faith, right? I'm very clear that she will be a global citizen, whether she study undergrad here or whether she studies postgrad anywhere.
Sure.
She's already a global citizen, right? The kind of content consume, whatever, right? So, as a parents, the moment your kid is getting born, the biggest thing you can do for them is just start a 10,000 or 5,000 SIP or open that bank account like that Samriddhi, some government bank account, right? Samriddhi, Samriddhi. We have opened for Faith, and just 5,000, 10,000 SIP.
A monthly SIP.
Monthly SIP, and now everyone can afford it, right? I was in fact, it's so funny that last night I was with someone from NSC who was with NSC for 30 years. I have some data which they were sharing that every year there are 18 crores, now there are 18 crores Demat accounts and lakhs of SIP, new SIP, recurring SIP is coming to, so at least SIP has been, adopted.
Correct.
So just start 5 or 10,000 SIP of your kid.
Right.
The moment your kid got born, and in 18 years, you end up having at least in worst scenario, anywhere from 1.5 to 3 crores of corpus.
Right.
You know how much of superpower your kid or you will have, that your kid can decide not because of finances but because of their merit.
Right.
They can decide whether they want to do sports management or they can do cybersecurity or a liberal or a STEM.
Right.
And it's not expensive for your child to study abroad. And at least for me, I always tell my partner, my wife, that the only thing which we can give to our kids is values and education.
Agreed.
Post that you give them 1,000 crores or 10,000 crores empire. If they are good, they will rebuild it. If they are not good, probably they will not end up eating 10,000 crores. But probably, that money will not be used well. So this is a journey, and now commercial. So anyone who's going to a average or a standard university in UK or in Australia, it starts from anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 a year.
Right.
That's a tuition fee, right? Probably a university which is a bit less on ranking can starts at $20,000 to $30,000, right? And then over and above, there is another $10,000 to $15,000 or a pound or a US dollar on housing, and then 1,000 to 2,000 per month, or probably 10 to 15,000 a year will be living expenses. So on an average, we have lots of data. So a typical international student spend around $46,000 for their year education. If they're going for undergrad, you can multiply by 3 or multiply by 4.
Got that.
So yeah.
Depending on number of years that actually.
Yeah,
So you're saying $50,000, which maybe, let's say, the rupees already hit
35 to 40
90.
lakhs.
So maybe in the range of 40 to 45 lakh rupees per
year.
annum is what they should. And this will take care of everything in terms of living and maybe an occasional travel back and all that as well. Because often I've seen parents will, they'll say, "Acha chalo itna to, वहाँ भेज देते हैं, वहाँ देख लेंगे," and they'll manage over there. They'll pick up, some part-time jobs and they'll wait tables or whatever. But maybe that's just not the right approach. So
Yes.
That's a bonus if it comes, but maybe not something that one should rely on.
In fact, lots of people. So also, we need to understand there are two ways of going abroad, or the two purposes of going abroad. When we call global mobility, one is global mobility for education. The other is global mobility for immigration.
Right.
So everyone needs to be very clear that if we are looking for immigration, going abroad through education route is not the right way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they are doing wrong, but it's not the right expectation. Right? And even for universities and colleges, they also need to understand this. Right. Because we are someone who are a marketplace for students and universities and education agents. So we are like someone which is not making money by doing something which we don't believe in. Right? And then we say we are superpower, that we can say things which is right rather than which my management or my investor wants me to say. And I believe that conscience, if clear, is it's superpower.
Right.
So even universities and governments also need to be clear now that when you are inviting Indians, Asians, Nigerians, you need blue collar jobs,
Right.
and that's why you're inviting.
Right.
Then don't tell them that they will have a green cards and all that.
Yeah.
Make it a temporary 2-3 years of stint, no?
Right.
And then they are also clear that they are coming for a year or 3 years. They're spending, let's say, 10 lakhs and they're earning 50 lakhs and back. At least things are clear, no? No wrong expectation.
Agreed.
But when COVID is there and you don't have people to work and people have gone, or Brexit happened, people have gone back to Europe,
Right.
then you open floodgates and get people from all across the world, especially Asians.
Yeah.
And then when the election comes, then net immigration become a soft targets, and housing become even a soft targets.
Yep.
Right? So I guess high time that we should all talk about this way.
Got it.
Right? And at time also, not that government is doing it purposely.
Right.
Because everyone is all about politics. As a politician or as a leader, not even politician, as a leader.
Right.
Let's say if I'm a CEO of a company, which probably the max long-term vision can be 10 years. So lots of my strategies, my decisions will be
Tweaked accordingly.
to ensure that I am a CEO for next 10 years. It's as human or as natural as I can, right?
get that.
But that's where the long-term thinking is very important for the country, for the leaders, for universities, for students, for parents.
Right.
Because I'm sure you have lots of experience under your belt. Most of your success have come over a period of time when you have been working consistently with compound efforts, not probably that one idea.
Yeah.
So if these have been clear, then I would say going abroad is like everyone should experience it. Everyone and anyone and everyone can study abroad.
If just for the exposure that you mentioned, just go there for the exposure, go there for the
Absolutely.
learning, and bring some of that back. It doesn't
Absolutely.
mean that you have to settle down there.
So I was talking to Hitesh from Cadila, who's a CBO there, and I was like blew away when I got to know few numbers and processes about finances.
Right.
And now anyone who comes to me that study abroad is going, is it privileged to be study abroad? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You just need to plan and you need to take some risks.
Of course.
Right? So around 5 to 6 billion every year been dispersed for student housing or for student, like for admission.
Right.
For study abroad. And even if you can afford it, do take education loan.
Yeah.
Because there's a taxation rebate which is only when you take education.
Interesting. And that's very interesting. But sometimes people say, I started the SIP, like you mentioned, when my kid was born or when my kid was 5 years old, I started that SIP. I started putting aside that 5,000-10,000, rupees a month. I have that corpus now of between, let's say, 1.5 crores and 3 crores.
Yeah.
I only require 40 lakh rupees, for that year.
Yeah.
But yet you're saying maybe preserve some of that capital and actually take an educational loan.
Absolutely.
Right? So talk me through that. Like, explain why an education loan?
I would say, why not? First, you want to make your kid that I'm not only sponsoring it, your skin is also in the game.
Got it.
So they will, when they know that they need to repay back,
Valuable.
they will study more, or at least they will be more serious, right? We always say that, of course, as Indians and Asians, we always try to take care of our kids, and at least even now after that, I'm like, why even I need to sponsor education?
Sure.
I should only be giving a down payment,
Right.
and then there should be they should be accountable.
Right.
Then they will study better.
Fair.
They will be more enterprising.
Get that.
Right. So there's a taxation rebate to the family.
Okay.
You make your kid more financial independent
Got it.
and more financial literate.
Got it.
Right. And there is again for universities and visa purpose, and that's a great hack I got to know. We all know, most of us know that any property, if you want to buy, and you need to ensure that the papers and entitlements are on track.
Right.
We go and take home loan,
Right.
or at least we apply for home loan.
Right.
It's a super hack, no? That we might get wrong, but bank will not.
Sure.
Similarly, when you take education loan, it's give you a signal to a university and also to a bank, because if bank is not giving loan for a particular course or a particular university or a particular destination, or they are charging higher interest, that's a signal that probably getting the bank who got lots of data points, they see this as more risk, and you might not get a job, or you might not get a better ROI.
I get that.
So it's a
red flag in a way.
It's a red flag.
Yeah.
It's
So
a
they've done their due diligence.
Yeah,
and
so
the
many
data
parameters.
is telling them something, and which is why you might be paying a higher rate.
Absolutely.
And hence that's a red flag.
Absolutely.
In a way.
So do take at least some loan. Is add tax rebate, your kid is more responsible,
Right.
and it's also giving you compliance.
Yeah.
You know, and from a university side of it, same.
Yeah.
You know, when they know that a financial bank or a institution is backing this kid,
Right.
their chance of getting visa is higher.
Right.
Their chances of getting a offer letter is higher.
Got it.
You know, so it's not. I wish I know this when I was 20 years back. I would have been studying in Browns and Penns and of the world. But it's not hard.
Right.
In front on the other side, I'm sorry, I'm diverting.
Sure.
It's easier to get in the top 100
Right.
than to get in IIMs and IITs and Indian
I'm
institutes.
sure. Yeah. Just by virtue of the multitude of people applying, over here, I think it just makes your chances
Yeah.
like slim to
Yeah.
none.
Yeah.
So interesting. So you said, okay, one is have your SIPs running, create your corpus. You have the potential of obviously
Finances is
taking,
available,
financials
yeah.
like a loan as well. Let's come to the third aspect, and that's scholarships. Right. So how easy is it to get scholarships? What are universities looking at while giving scholarships? Because aid has been a big area for Indians and even Asian students, when going abroad. So what are some of the parameters when scholarship and aid is being looked at?
It seems like, all the podcasts I did last 6 months, you're trying to take a test that what did you all learn, because it's like a exam I'm giving. Okay, you did a podcast with an NBFC guy.
Fair.
Tell me what you learned.
Fair.
You have done a scholarship with admission consultant. Tell me the process, right? And same. So, couple of weeks back or couple of days back, I happened to talk to someone who was with Ford Foundation.
Sure.
And they have dole out around 420 million to 4,000 kids over 10 years.
Wow.
So got to know a few things about scholarships.
Right.
Similarly, when it comes to scholarship, we all have the myth that
Right.
I will not get it or I'm entitled. Both are wrong notation
Yeah.
notions that anyone can apply for scholarships and you will get it.
Right.
There are scholarships for merit, for academics, and therefore, for that instance, at University Living, we launch a living scholarships.
Interesting.
We always say that people who are getting, what if someone in 12th standard had a bad year?
Yeah.
Some tragedy happened in their family
course.
and they couldn't study.
Right.
Are they not entitled to go to university?
Yeah.
Or are they not entitled to get a support?
Yeah.
So with that virtue or that thought, we launch living scholarship. So that's one thing.
Awesome.
So there's scholarship on for anything, everything.
Right.
Just look out, and you have a internet.
Yeah.
You can find anything.
Yeah.
Apart from just finding Instagrams and about ORIs and whatnot.
Right.
Find out the right things, right?
Right.
So
Right.
there are lots of scholarships. There are scholarships for academics. There are scholarships for merit.
Sure.
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 And there's even a scholarship for less inclusive, individuals in the societies.
Right.
They are like one such is Ford Foundation.
Yeah.
Then there is like government scholarships like Chiefnings and DFIDs. Then there is like all these embassies dole out lots of scholarships.
Right.
Then all the corporate we have like Chindar scholarship. So there are lots of scholarship, lots of grants.
Yeah.
But either we start late and then we miss it, or we believe we will not get it, or we are not good at it.
Got it.
In fact, lots of scholarships are there to be given.
Yeah.
And in a first year of living scholarship, University
Right.
Living
Right.
Scholarship,
Right.
it was such insightful for us that people were not applying.
Right.
They thought that it is another marketing gimmicky and to generate leads we are doing it and they will not get it.
Wow.
Or probably they will bias and they will only give
When
it
you
to
genuinely want to help.
genuinely want to help. So coming back to the first point,
Right.
when you're going abroad, seek help. There are people to help.
Yeah.
So these are scholarships. There are n number of scholarships. Only thing I would say, start early. And it's not tough also. Even when I got to know that a person who got Chiefning scholarship, and what they did is just be themselves,
Yeah.
and they got a Chiefning scholarship. Otherwise, I would they are only meant for few
Interesting.
super intelligent people, but not.
Yeah, no, I love that, and thanks for those shares. So again, we have the EMI piece, the SIP piece, where you can actually create a corpus. You have grants, and of course the education loan piece as well. Yeah, and of course, not trying to test you, but normally when I do have a guest, I do a deep dive, and I try and look at it from the perspective of a parent, a student, just an interested, party who
Yeah.
is perhaps, looking at, eventually perhaps bringing on people, who've been abroad, into their organizations or maybe even higher, globally. So just, hence kind of get into the role and do a bit of a, deep dive as well. We're going to touch upon some other stuff. I thought let's do a quick rapid fire. And in the rapid fire, okay, I have some questions for you. And what I want you to do is just answer in one sentence, okay, like what's the, the first thing that, comes to your mind. So let's just go down and let me just get this up. And okay, so it's going to be rapid fire, 15 to 20 questions. And the first, thing that comes to your mind, like let's not overthink it. Let's just put out that one sentence.
I mean,
right?
I'm good at it. In fact, I've been scolded by my management, my investor, that if anyone asks me a question, I go all the way.
Yep,
So
yep.
this is not which I'm good at, but let's try.
Yeah. So it's always good to get out of comfort zones, and so like I said, one sentence, and they're easy questions, so it shouldn't be
Sure,
too hard, right?
sure.
USA or UK? Which one would you choose today?
I would say UK, but as a business, US.
Okay, but for education, you're saying
I would say UK. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because I've studied, so there's a business, right?
Right,
It's nearby.
right. Got it.
Location is close by.
Got it.
I would say undergrad UK.
Got it.
Postgrad US.
Interesting. Okay, if you were to choose one college in India today to go to, which one would it be?
We work with lots of local colleges, but I've been hearing lots about Ashoka, OPJ Jindal.
Sure.
I was one of them.
Got it.
Or even the new one, even the Pratham is a good friend. Master Union and Tetter. I've been hearing good thing about these two.
Yeah. It's a lot of new age colleges
Yeah,
popping up.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. So, I mean, of course, you're not too far from Meerut, but the one thing that you miss the most about Meerut?
Oh, meeting my friends and probably have a karobar.
I
You know the concept of karobar?
Of course. Yeah, शादियों पे तो यहाँ होता ही है, and it's a big thing. Of
So,
course.
so just to miss spending time with friends and just have like no business talks, just you.
Yeah.
Your school
Not
kids.
being judged, just being.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Right.
get I'm not scared about being judged. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's judging, but
Yeah.
with friends, you are you.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
What's the most common mistake students make while planning to study abroad?
They start late, or they go by the trend, or they go by what their cousins and their friends are doing.
Yeah.
It's individual life. You need to decide for your own.
Interesting. Right. Yeah. Take your own call for sure. Your proudest moment as the founder of University Living. What's been your proudest moment?
Every day. Just coming to office and trying to create something which is impactful
Yeah.
and in an ethical, transparent way.
Right.
Because everything is like every day's pride. If I want to stand out few, probably getting 40 under 40, getting a first investor check.
Right.
That was a validation, right?
Right.
And before that, just been shortlisted among 19,000 applicants, among the 75 who got grant from Economic Time Power Idea, CII Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So that 10 days was instrumental. That make us think that what we are doing is global, and probably we are doing it. Probably we're the right people to do it.
Okay. So while you did kind of touch upon this one, the biggest myth about studying abroad.
That it's expensive and only it's for rich.
Yeah, I agree. I think you already touched upon that. The most challenging part of living / moving to a new country for education or work. What's the most challenging part according to you?
I mean, I would say there's a biasness, but finding your accommodation, because most of the time you spend where, I mean, all your soulmates, business partners, your friends for life, you get where do you stay or with whom you stay.
Agreed. You've seen that with Gautam in the Gautam Nagar example. that
Yeah.
you've given.
So I guess see where whom and where you're staying.
Got it. Okay, so an interesting one. What's the one thing that students should pack but often forget when they're heading out abroad?
So we have a pack kit, so people can refer to that. But very interesting. Probably. I mean, you got me because there's so many things coming in my mind.
The one thing that pops in your mind straight away.
The charger, the universal charger.
I was saying the same thing. It's a
Yeah.
universal travel adapter because you have your gadgets and
Yeah,
people don't
yeah,
understand
yeah,
that the sockets are going to change. So that would be the
you
number one
can
for
you
me as
can
well.
now in this world which is hyper connected, you can be comfortable without wallet, but if your gadgets, especially your phone, is not charged,
Oh, yeah,
it's like you're out of oxygen.
So true. Yeah. Your phones are not charged
Yeah,
out of oxygen.
yeah.
Totally agree. If you could instantly master one language, which one would it be?
I would like to learn two. In fact, one is Mandarin, and the other is Japanese. So yeah,
Nice. Interesting. Pick both Asian languages, and of course, Mandarin is.
When you
is
know
up there for
Hindi,
many.
when you know Hindi and English, and if you have these two languages, you have covered 80% of people you can talk to.
Great. One skill that every student will need in the next decade.
Skill.
One skill that every student will need in the next decade.
Be authentic. In the AI era, if you can be authentic and unique or like original, it's will stand out. So most of the thing will be taken by, AI, and it's already been taken.
So AI, threat or opportunity?
Both. I mean, it can be boon, it can be bane. It depends upon how you're using it. Are you prepared, or are you been forced to learn?
Get that. Where do you see the study abroad industry heading in 10 years from today?
Well, it's going to continue to grow, by leaps and bounds, right? Let me give you some macros. So, I mean, they are 8 billion population,
Right.
And there's only 6.4 million students who go abroad. So that's not even 1%, right? With globalization, with aspirations, with finances available, with information, where now we are in the world which is global. Language are getting bridged,
Right.
So I believe we are in an era of one word, rather than be Indian, Chinese, we all aspire to be global citizens.
Sure.
So in that word, studying abroad or overseas education overall, or education as sector and overseas education as a subsector is continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Leaps and bounds.
Agreed. Truly, I think the world is definitely becoming, a much smaller place, especially
Well
after-
connected, yeah.
Now that we're back after the post, COVID issues and all of that. If you were to choose a personal dream destination, a country to settle down in outside India, which one would that be?
Are you talking to my friends' families a lot before this? No, because you're asking a few things which I've been thinking, and
Okay.
so or probably Payal, you have said lots of things. So there's a journey on. It's a long answer, but so we applied for. We have a Canada PR, a business starter visa. I was on the verge to move to Canada to explore US, and then COVID happened. So then we're like, okay, let's stay. And then now Canada is not in the best of shape, but it's a beautiful country. My best friends are there. If you're looking to probably have a good balanced career life, Canada is still on, like still on.
Correct.
If you're going for education
Despite
purpose,
all the issues. that
yeah.
are there.
If you see any country, if you're looking, you are going for the right reasons, they will welcome you. You will create value for them, and vice versa.
Right.
Then I was thinking on the verge to move to London, because my business with a couple of companies in UK and the parent company is in Indian, but we have subsidiary in UK.
Right.
So, and with the strategic location. So London is obvious choice. My business needs me or my co-founder, one of us, to be there. From there, US is accessible, right?
Right.
It's
Of course.
location wise amazing, right?
Correct.
But somehow I need son. I need my friends, So I thought, and my spouse and my kid would be better off, at least for both of them.
Right.
But we realized that we are a close knitted family. We today, I guess it's a amazing time to be. You are all together, but you're not forced to stay.
Fair.
Due to which the love is there, right? So for business, I want to be in London. I need to be in London. But if I see my personality, my friends, that outdoor sun. So good, I didn't move to London, and I continue to travel every 2 months. Off lately, I'm exploring Dubai. In fact, I applied for Dubai Golden Visa by invite.
Right.
And that is something would love to talk to anyone, because I have studied a lot and it got serious merit. So Dubai as of now, but if you need dream, where I need to settle, San Diego. I love the weather.
It is. Yeah. It is.
San Diego.
Yeah.
By far, I love the weather. But then I will be alone there.
Yeah. Okay, few more on the rapid fire. A book every entrepreneur should actually read.
Lots of books. Again, I'm not the avid reader.
Right.
I'm a pseudo reader, but off lately I've been reading a lot.
Sure.
So I'm reading this Dan Merton, Buy Back Your Time.
Yeah. Dan Martell. Oh yeah.
Dan Martell, yeah. Buy Back Your Time. Then I'm also running. I'm reading this Ali Abdaal, Feel Good Productivity. Again, it's a good read.
Right.
And read Naval as many times as you can. I mean, he's the kind of clarity he got, and so any form of content by Naval.
Yeah.
So these are three. There are a few more, but these are three
Right.
up there.
I think those are great. And of course, the last one here is, if you had unlimited funding, what's the one thing that you would do for university living?
So there is nothing a concept unlimited funding, because when we have this much, we're like, oh, once we get this, we'll do this. Now we have this, we feel like, oh, if we have so there's nothing.
Imagine that you had a blank check with a unlimited
So I would say
amount on it.
Okay, more than money, I would say if I have next 30 years, the kind of UL I want to build up is.
Right.
So last 15 years, we build up one piece, which is post-admission, housing as a core and value-added services. We do air tickets, airport transfer, everything.
Right.
So I have a dream, we should create a next 30 years, right from helping students and helping parents plan their finances for study abroad.
Right.
And then, so we are an amalgamation of prop tech, ed tech and travel tech.
Like
And
that.
all three things is where we can go for forward integration or backward integration. So with that 30 years horizon, creating that funnel, the moment kid is getting born
Right.
and they are not able to decide, they're not able to go because of funds,
Right.
or they are going to a destination which they have not researched.
Right.
We don't want to do anything. We don't want to at university. We don't want to do everything, but we want to play our part in this full ecosystem, right from the child getting born
Fair.
till they are getting their first jobs. So if we are able to do this, there is a immense opportunity to not create billions but trillions.
Right.
But time is
It's
the
gonna be
factor.
of the
Yeah.
essence over there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and that's where the money will probably come handy.
Super. Yeah. No, thank you for that. I think those were great insights and good to get some of your inputs on that as well. I want to talk about another aspect for students when they're heading abroad, both from the perspective of students and also the parents. And again, this probably comes from personal experience. I unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to go abroad because at the time the family was going through a bit of a crisis. But I did have several friends who did go abroad. And once they actually got there, and this for their undergrad, there was a lot of peer pressure. There was a lot of influence, and some of them perhaps went astray, and they never really came back on track. And I think this is something that a lot of parents have in mind as well. Ki beta jayega, beti jayegi, bigad jayenge. Like they'll get spoiled. They'll have that kind of peer pressure really coming into play. So let's take a perspective from the students first. So how does one really overcome peer pressure? How do they stay aligned to their culture and their values? Because very easy, especially in the UK. And I was there a few months ago, and it was Friday night, Saturday night. I was playing poker in Leicester Square, and all I saw was university kids who were getting pissed drunk, and just it was
not a good sight. Yeah,
but that's happening for a lot of kids in the UK, right? So let's talk about it from the perspective of negative influences and peer pressure.
Let me share what I feel rather than and again disclaimer, I'm not representing Muslim, I'm representing Saurabh here, right?
Of course.
And I'm not an educator. So I have a liberty to say things which I feel.
Of course,
right?
that's the way it should be, right?
So there are two school of thoughts. Last night I met someone in Mumbai. He went to Regents, come from a decently influenced, or at least like upper middle class, right? Went to Regents, and Regents mostly is rich, as they call, rich brats, and like all across the globe coming there, But it got a merit. When you're staying or studying with Chinese and rural families of Qatar and Kuwait,
Right.
your aspiration value or your learning can be immense. But with that also comes this influence power.
Agreed.
Wherein they are having, I got to know this term last night, they were having champagne war.
Okay.
Spending 15,000 pounds per table every night.
Wow.
But on a hindsight, that forced that guy to start his startup in that year,
Okay.
and was making 100,000 pounds a year while he was studying.
Okay.
So how will you see it? Is it a bad influence or good influence? Right? So that is one school of thought.
Fair.
Second school of thought, which probably I believe, and I'm also influenced by this school of thought. As a parent, only thing we can give it to our kids are values, and early on,
Fair.
right? And I guess we've been fortunate, Yes, when I came from Meerut to Delhi, we also went clubbing. We also have girlfriends, and we also tried lots of things. But somewhere, there were limit. And I've been fortunate to have friends who, even when we used to go clubbing and come back at 1. If we have class, we were there at 9.
Yeah.
So try to do in a way which is balanced out.
Got it.
And if you can figure out your tribe, or your parents or your friends can try that, okay, don't be dumb, because today you have to be street smart. And that's why all the message to all the kids that I always say that try everything out, but try it in moderation, and also have your moral guards around. It can be your girlfriend, it can be your friend, it can be your brother, sister, who keeps you, okay, you had fun.
Brings you back on track.
Yes. So I would say anyone who's going abroad, or any parents who are thinking, give them the right values, tell them that, okay, what is right, what is wrong.
Right.
And then again, another day it's their journey.
Fair.
If I try to, like what happened with me happens with faith, I guess I have a wrong expectation, because every soul comes with their own journey, and they have their own destination. We can only hope for the best and make them prepare for what the soul or probably that kid is being born for.
Of course.
Sorry if I got a bit spiritual, but
Yeah, no. So I see where you're talking about the element of destiny, and they'll perhaps do what is written, and these are perhaps I don't know, would we call them diversions that come sometimes in your life, but possibly you will come back on track at some point in the future as well. And I think it's also important, like where you mentioned that it's also who you hanging out with. What is your company? Like you mentioned, okay,
Most
here you've got
important.
Saudi royals and all of that. So obviously that's like a different ecosystem. But I mean, even today, right? We are the sum total of our inner circle and the 5, 10, 15 people that we hang out with. So I think that becomes an important aspect as well. Let's talk about some things that are very relevant for today, and that'll actually be as we come towards our wrap up time as well. One of them is AI. Okay, of course trending deeply, pun not intended. But what really is the impact of AI both for global education and just in the entire ecospace? Like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing there in the ecosystem as such?
So yes, definitely, there's an adoption, and there is a positive things around AI. But again, it all depend upon which side of the table you are. As a founder, as a leader who would like to optimize cost and probably improve the quality output,
Right.
AI is a bliss. But if you are as an employee or as a other side of the table, and if you're not upping your game, if you're not embracing,
Right.
then you'll be caught at the wrong end.
I'd love that from that perspective. Tell me also from the perspective of students. Okay, students when they're like writing now essay applications, right? And they're also seeing that, and I've again witnessed this firsthand, where there's a lot of tools that are being used to make that perfect essay and make that perfect submission. When is too much too much? So from a student perspective, okay, when do you draw the line and say, boss, thoda to dimag lagao, like use your brains, like don't reply only on this? When does that really need to happen?
Right. Like you asked me, I remember you asked me what will the skill of students in the future to come.
Right.
Authentic and original. It's like when there were no internet or when there were no calculators.
Right.
You need to not only learn the concept, but also you need to practice additions, multiplications.
Fair.
But the moment you get calculator, it was not a skill.
Right.
The moment you get internet, finding information on the skill, finding what information can differentiate the skill.
Right.
With AI, getting those perfect essays, PPTs, that beautiful heavy English word,
Sure.
context is not a skill.
Last piece I want to touch upon before, of course, I talk about your future plans, etc. Geopolitics. Okay, there's a lot happening right now in the world. We're already talking about, a German snap election coming where there's going to be perhaps a right-wing party coming, at least making significant inroads after the longest time. We have, interesting developments in the US where, of course, illegal immigrants are being, sent back, rightly so or not is again a point for discussion. What is geopolitics today, and how is that going to shape, the decisions behind students, picking future choices, career or even education choices?
Again, don't want to sound pseudo or preachy, but my limited understanding or what I've been reading, and fortunate enough to pick lots of like best of brains and people who are designing policies and who are designing curriculums and education ministers.
Right.
One pattern I'm seeing, the word has become more right. Nationalism is on our wake up. It's in India or everywhere, right? And I tell the reason also, because I was talking in the morning itself. As a leader or as a politician, I'm only able to think maximum 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, or 5 years, or 1 year.
Fair.
With those mindset, you are planning which is making you be in the power, and due to which you will target what banking, you will target those people who are probably not educated enough or aware enough
Right.
or probably traveled enough,
Right.
and it's easier to influence them
Yeah.
than probably mind like us which have information across.
Sure.
So that's where the right wing is becoming stronger.
Right.
That's where the nationalism agenda is becoming stronger.
Right.
Even with, if you see whatever Trump, as a businessman I love Trump, as a crypto believer I love Trump, but as a global citizen, why it's only about American?
Sure.
Why it's only about dollar? And that will make world more isolated.
So what you're saying is that the future, there is going to be hyper nationalism. There is going to be a move to more, the right and the far right. And as students, as parents, as people aspiring to come into the workforce in due course, it's something that we're just going to have to live with, right? I think that's what.
But
your
it
point
will
would be.
course correct. It will course correct.
Yeah.
Because see, after COVID, the every 4 or 5 years or every decade, there's a default reboot.
Right.
Due to COVID, it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
COVID happened, so unnaturally, unorganically, lots of countries opened floodgates for Asians, Indians,
Correct,
and when
correct.
they because they need cheap labor or
True.
blue labor or whatever, if I can say it,
True.
right? But then when they realize now they are too much, then they have to course correct. So they are not wrong on their end,
Yeah.
So I believe that's where the trends and patterns are. Like any stock markets, they have their bulls and bears.
Fair.
Similarly, I guess now every economy is going
right.
through that phase. In fact, in last 15 years, one thing I always say, even higher education as an industry it's cyclical.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah.
I get that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And hence, a destination like Canada, are you seeing that kind of falling out of favor a little bit with students at this point of time?
I believe you invest in stock markets, right? And anyone who have been into stock markets or investment or anything like
Right.
anything which rise like this,
Sure.
would also at least there's a U-turn, right? So right now Canada in that falling down sphere, but as I mentioned, anyone who's looking to go to best of the universities or good living standard,
Right.
and if you have prepared yourself financially, mentally, and skill wise, I have a couple of my best friends, and they are doing like amazingly well. In fact, they are doing much better if they are in India. But they are success stories. But there are also stories wherein people went at the wrong timing, and within 8-9 months they have to come back and start again.
Right.
So it's very case to case and what intent and what timing you are going.
Awesome.
So for now, Canada probably if you're going for immigration, not the right
Not
time.
the
If you're
right
going for education, better universities,
Right.
in fact better time because you will have less competition. You have more jobs. You will paying less on accommodation and living expenses.
Correct.
So yeah.
Correct. Hyperinflation. I mean, that's something that's really gone crazy, right? And of course, depreciation of rupee. Is there any way that parents can actually hedge against a depreciating rupee? I know. I mean, it's an
Yeah, there are
expensive,
ways,
task.
Yeah.
But do you ever recommend hedging against, the rupee depreciating?
So more than hedging because that get complicated and so I guess the better way is probably if you're going to US, you can have a US dominator loans.
Right.
So rather than taking finances, you can probably refinance. Let's say first year you take it from here. Second year you can have a dollar loan.
Right.
So that is one
It's a currency
smart
hedge in a
way.
way, yeah.
I'm also I learned few quarters
Right,
before.
right.
Invest in US markets. That's an easier thing, because if you want to pay in US or in pounds, so probably you can
Use that
invest
money
in
for that.
foreign
Yeah,
currency,
yeah.
take a loan in foreign currency. Then probably the other thing can be like hedging is a great tool,
Right.
but not everyone understands it. And also, if you are doing for $40,000-$50,000,
Yeah.
it might not make
The
sense.
Cost will be pretty
Yeah.
prohibitive as well. Yeah. Awesome. So come back to, Saurabh as an individual and University Living as an organization. What is it now? We're fast forwarding maybe 10, 15, 20 years. What is it that you want to be remembered for? Like, what is going to be your legacy?
Legacy, so I just turned 40, and my aspiration is to live till 100.
Okay.
And that's where probably health or happiness is a very important point for me. So I always say that if I live till 100, I achieve everything which I want to.
Sure.
Financially, physically, friends, whatever. Desires, aspiration. For next decade or 15 years, I would say continue to do what we are doing. Blessed to have in a sector which is unidimensional. There's so much layered. Even after 15 years, I believe I just started yesterday. And whenever I meet someone like you, like I'm meeting best of delegates, I'm like, I'm just started. So with that curiosity to learn and with that curiosity to serve, to create value.
Love that.
I believe we can go so many directions. So for now, next 3 to 5 years, post admission as a one-stop shop,
Right.
housing as a core,
Yeah.
and within housing we are the only platform globally now, which is multi-country, right from Vegas to Auckland we can accommodate, right from organized premium student housing, £1,000 a month or £1,000 a week,
Right.
to
Right.
probably £150, £100 a week,
Right.
we can accommodate.
Awesome.
And we also launch a couple of companies. One is for flexible contracts, let's say for short term.
Right.
And then we also have local domestic demand. So we have budget options.
Got it.
So we are a managed marketplace.
Yeah.
Multi-destination, multi-sourcing market.
Fair.
So with that, there is too much to capture and establish.
Awesome.
And with value-added services, like every value-added service is a multi-billion vertical. Air tickets,
Agreed.
airport transfer,
Agreed.
Granta surveys,
Yeah.
bedding kitchen bag, duvet and bedding kitchen bag.
Right.
Because we have a thesis that wherever most of my team is international students, we hire most of the people who come back and
Right.
so whatever problem they face,
Yeah.
we test and we add and then we scale.
Be very
right?
solution focused.
Always student experience first, right?
Yeah.
And then we can go going more deeper into housing.
Right.
And who knows, probably we are university living, who knows, we become university of living. So we might become a university, let's see.
Awesome. Yeah, super. So, like you said, exciting times, so much happening. The world is, truly opening up. And I think there is, never been more excitement in this space. So, thank you so much for, being here today and, sharing those insights. I do know that you also have a bit of a stock market fascination. So, I did bring across, certain, gifts for you, from us. And for that, one of them is the stock market game. That's a
That's
game
nice.
that I had designed, and it's got
Oh.
both the equity and the derivative side of things. So that is something that I want to give you.
That's
I
interesting.
also have the scaling with GB Gold Planner, so that's one of our top consulting tools that I give out to a lot of people who are close to me. So that's a very
That's
very
interesting.
good tool when it comes to setting up your goals and things. And of course, I also want to give you
Oh, that's
something
too
from
many
Shantanu
things.
and Nikhil. So that's a Shantanu Nikhil Barok pen. So something
That's-
that when you're penning down your thoughts, it'd be something to put down over there as well.
Very kind of you, and thank you, Shantanu and Nikhil, and look forward for your games.
Yeah.
It's I didn't know that we are getting this.
Just a little token.
This
So
is
thank you
really
for,
very kind of you.
making
Thanks.
the time and being here and sharing all those insights. And I'm sure university living is only going to go to newer heights and do bigger and better things and truly make the world a better place. And thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you for your time, and love your setup and love your team. As I mentioned that we are still beginners as a podcaster.
Right.
So left your very professional setup.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.